This is the review of the 2016 Mazda 6 GT. I like the color of this car along with the gunmetal mags. It looks pretty good, at least from the side, although people have, I think, exaggerated how good it looks. The standard GT comes with 19-inch wheels. Yes, 19-inch wheels, 225s for 184 horsepower or 185 horsepower. It's a little redonkulous. Though I have to say, from the profile, it does look good on the road. The front end looks nice, carried over from the Mazda 3. It looks pretty good, I'd have to say. And in general, I think the looks of this car are very fetching. Flashy, perhaps not quite as classy as the Ford Fusion, but very good. Nice dual exhaust there. You can tell the car has somewhat of an athletic suggestion. It's not a sports sedan, but it has an athletic suggestion. It becomes evident after you spend a bit of time with the car that Mazda took the styling very, very seriously. To the interior styling, what's good about this Mazda interior, it's got a two-tone, which makes it nice for the eyes. It's not just black, although these light colors are harder to maintain. However, the general fit and finish is very good quality, and there's no noise, vibration, and harshness from the interior materials in the form of rattles. The rear seat room is acceptable. It's not the biggest, but it is fine. The rear trunk room is quite good despite not having space-saving hinges, and the seats fold 60/40. So that is pretty convenient. Here at the door you can see the Bose sound system, which plays very well. It's a nice place to be inside. However, I found myself missing a lot of room. You can tell, like, with the white leather and the white stitching, it's not like the fake stitching. It looks and feels very good. The seats actually are reasonably comfortable. However, the leather softness and quality is really good. I mean, it's super high level. More on the interior, the control weights are set up light, especially when you're normal mode, and the brakes bite hard and the transmission shifts very well. Probably the best transmission in class, actually. And you can also get this in a manual, which is an added bonus. So drivetrain is excellent. You hear a lot on the reviews that this car may be a little bit rougher than its rivals, though I didn't feel that way. I drove it in the city quite a bit and it felt quite good. Not rough at all, actually. The driving position, the dials to fix the HVAC controls, very handy, though the infotainment sucks. It's all handled through like an iDrive type device. The engine is very fuel efficient, peppy, noisy, and this car makes a lot of noise on the highway. When you're riding on the highway, the wind and road noise is almost unbearable. Here are my thoughts on the road. Driving the 2016 Mazda 6 GT. I want to make a few comments about this car right off the bat. Now, I'm always very suspicious when professional car reviewers rate a car as the best in the category, and I see less of them on the road than I see Maseratis. I saw it at the car show. I looked at it. It looked fine. I thought maybe it was a bit it erred on the side of flashy instead of on the side of classy. That Mazda 3 design somehow translates itself perhaps not as well in this format, but the car still looks very good. I mean, it looks better than Accord, Camry, and Altima and all those guys. I still think the Fusion's better. It's more classy, but nonetheless, and I felt kind of tight in the interior, but this was just a fleeting moment at a car show. Having that said, this car's won all the awards. Journalists openly lament why don't they sell more, and I can certainly add my voice to that. I don't understand why they don't sell more. It's a very good car. They don't sell any. They should sell some. Having that said, I'm not seeing what all those professional journalists are seeing, so perhaps it's a good idea to continue watching this review, because I got a few things to say. I'm not, like, it's certainly not the best in the category, that's for sure, all right? And let me explain why. Well, first I'll say what works. The suspension has a nice light feel. It's got a little floatiness that I find makes it feel light on its feet. The steering wheel, the touch points are very good. The steering wheel is soft. Doesn't look amazing, but I mean, When you grab it, it's nice and soft. It's not overly thick. It's right for the midsize. The shifter is somewhat nice to feel in hand. It's got like a very soft leather. The seats are incredibly soft. The materials are of a generally good quality, though not as good a quality as everyone says. I mean, I saw this review saying that the Mazda 6 GT, the interior quality was better than all its competitors. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Just blows my brain. The dials are fine. They look at you in a somewhat nice font, could be better. The right-hand digital display is cutesy. No color though, it lacks perhaps a little bit of pizzazz. This infotainment interface sucks. It's the same thing as the Germans do. I mean, if you're gonna give me the shitty German infotainment interface, can I please get some German engineering? You know what I mean? The sound system, the Bose sound system, it's a known entity. It plays well, it plays loud enough. It plays very well at low to medium volume. You find yourself, once again, with these Bose units, not turning up the volume as much as you perhaps normally would with other sound systems because the sound quality is so good. The seats, the comfort of the seats. I think the seats are okay, but the problem in this car, the way I see it, is you're buying a midsize, but when you're sitting in front, I feel like I'm in a compact. It's just too tight. It's my knee here, my right knee is just hitting the center console. I'm feeling a little claustrophobic. I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'9". I mean, it's the complete opposite of like that Honda Accord Coupe I drove. I mean, Ross and I drove that Honda Accord Coupe, and it was huge, the front end, perhaps even maybe too big. It felt like a full size. So, and this car is in a category where not only are you being attacked from other wonderful midsize, but you're being attacked by crossovers. So it's really not a good space for this category. I mean, it's just so competitive. The engine, it's only offered with a 4-cylinder. It's very peppy. The transmission, the automatic transmission is fine, shifts fine. For the category, I think it's great. We can't expect a Porsche PDK there, and we're not getting that, but I mean, it does the job very well. In these cars, paddle shifters are a joke, right? I mean, if you want paddle shifters, this car, you can get it in manual. I heard the manual is great. And I think maybe a manual in this car would be appropriate. I mean, it would just make this car that much funner to drive. Though nobody in this category ever buys manuals. Sunroof is nice. Rear view mirrors, a good size. Perhaps the opening of the rear window is a bit small, but I mean, I'm just nitpicking. This car has wonderful styling, really good styling, I think. Well, pretty good styling, stylized styling. So I can forgive perhaps the rear window not being that big. Rear view mirrors are fine. Visibility is fine in this car. Good job. It's a good job. Is it better than its competitors? Its competitors have the advantage of being perhaps less stylish, with the exception of the Ford Fusion, but feeling much more practical. This may be what most buyers are looking for. I just want to go back in time. It's an interesting history, this car. The Mazda 6, when it came out in 2003 or 2004, I can't remember, it was really, this province fell in love with this car. You saw them all over the place. They had a slick styling, and they had wonderful dynamics, nice interiors. And then the 2009 came out. The base GS model, or GX or whatever, was not very good looking, but the GT model was very nice in 2009. In fact, I thought it was the best car, like it was the car of the year. Like I really thought it was nice. And then the next year after, the Ford Fusion came out refreshed in 2010, and then you had the new Sonata, the Optima, and all those cars, and the Mazda 6 kind of like faded away. People complained, I think, that it was too far away from its roots of an easy, like a sporty drive, and maybe the car had gotten too big. So they made this car, which is a nice sporty-ish drive. like, it's this weird thing where everything is good. However, when you get out of this car, you're not anxious to get back into it and drive it. It's a weird thing. And it is noisy on the highway. I was on the highway with it. Mazda apparently did all this sound deadening, but I don't know, maybe it's the giant tires or something. It's just kind of loud on the highway. Listen, it's a very good car. I don't think it is the great car that the automotive press says it is. It just isn't. The Ford Fusion is better. The interior of the Subaru Legacy is more substantial. The Ford Fusion interior I find is better. The exterior styling of the Ford Fusion is better. You see what I'm saying? Where it's not that great. It's not that great. It's just very good. And that's the review.